Edge of South Africa guy. I'm ready to do another video for you. And as I arrange these, because I didn't know if this is going to actually go in the camera, but I'm going to try and do my best. Trying to get these knives all in camera before I talk about it. I thought it would be kind of an interesting video for me to do my small American production knives that I own in my collection. Trying to get everything in order here. All right. I think I got it now. Second. Okay, there we go. So, I thought it would be a pretty good idea to do my small production collection. These are basically just boiled down to just 8. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but maybe if I shift them over a little bit better. Get them all in camera here. Yeah, I can move them over a little bit more. So these are my 8 American production knives. I just wanted to talk about each one of these and why I decided that these are, in my opinion, the best of production knives that are out today. This may change in the future as far as what I think are the best, but for now, this is it. And I boiled it down to only 4 companies, really. Benchmade, Spyderco, Kershaw, and Zero Tolerance. And these are the 8. So I just want to go over all of these knives and why I chose these. Excuse me. There is a possibility that this list of 8 may grow up to 12 because I'd like to get, I want to get some 3.1 inch size knives in this collection from each of these companies. But I boiled it down to just these companies only. I didn't see any reason to go any further because when I built up this small collection, I was looking for quality and stylistically, aesthetics, obviously, and use. What would be, what are the best of the best that's out there. So I just wanted to get in. Excuse me. So for my first knife, this one is very iconic. This one I got customized. This is not the configuration of this knife at all. This is the ZT-0562. Now, what makes this knife so interesting is it's been in Zero Tolerance's lineup for a decade, and it doesn't seem to be going away. You can actually go on the ZT website and purchase this knife. This is like their signature knife, pretty much, for Zero Tolerance. And I just want to say something about Zero Tolerance and Kershaw. Now, a lot of people may or may not know this, but Kershaw and Zero Tolerance is really just one company, and I think it's posing a problem with Kai Knives. That's the name of the company, Kai Knives. Zero Tolerance and Kershaw. And the problem with this company is that I think they have a serious problem with branding. I don't think they know what they are to the consumer. Back in 2012, Kershaw decided to step up their game and come out with a line of higher-end production knives, probably to compete with this company here, Spyderco, which is such a huge company. And they make knives from high end to mid range to low end. And Kershaw spent most of their time working on their low end production knives, but they made really great low end production knives. It's just that they wanted to be able to step up their game and come up with some really high end quality knives to compete with, a Spyderco and all the other companies out there that were beginning to make high end knives. And Kai Knives wanted to get in on that. So they came up with a company called Zero Tolerance in 2012. The problem I have with that is that Zero Tolerance seems to have like disappeared. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I'm kind of hoping I'll get some comments on this video about this. But Zero Tolerance didn't do anything this year as far as putting out a new knife. The only knife that they put out that was new that I know of was the 7, which was actually a knife they released last year. So for this year, what they did was they re-released an, which I believe was the 046. I believe that's the knife it is. They re-released it in anodized blue. And that's all they did. They didn't release anything else after that. And that kind of pissed me off. I was kind of looking forward to some new Zero Tolerance knives, and it just didn't happen. So, anyway, enough of that. This is the first knife in my production lineup that I really love. It's the Zero Tolerance 0562. This knife really, really cuts well. The steel is CB20. Really great design by Rick Hinderer. The steel on this one was Elmax. I'm sorry, I got the Elmax version. The one that you get on the website though is CB20, and this knife just pretty much wound up becoming Zero Tolerance's signature knife. I think it's a really great knife. It's a Rick Hinderer collaboration design, and it's been around for a decade. I mean, I don't think I even have to tell anybody about this knife. Most people that are into knives just know about it. This one has carbon fiber scales. I had it customized with blue screws all around. It just looks a lot better. The only thing I couldn't get for it was a customized pocket clip. Mine actually has a scratch on the pocket clip, which is okay because this is actually a user. I've been using this one quite a bit. It's just a great production knife overall. Really great for heavy use. Not only are the aesthetics nice, not only does it fit really good in the hand, it cuts really well. I just think it's a killer piece. And I can understand why Zero Tolerance will never let it leave its lineup because it's a great knife. But I do think they should consider releasing some new knives out on their own. The next knife on my lineup is one, unfortunately, none of you guys will be able to get a hold of. This was kind of produced in limited edition. This is the Kershaw bare knuckle knife. I love this one. When I saw this one came out in M390 and in black wash and all carbon fiber, I jumped all over this piece. This could have easily have been a Zero Tolerance knife, but they let it... They put it out as a special edition for Kershaw, and those of us that took advantage of it, we just ate it up forever. And now you can't go anywhere and buy this knife. You can't even go on eBay and find this knife now. It's just disappeared. They released this version of the knife, which I believe you can still get in Sandvik steel. It's called a bare knuckle. And it's a really great knife. Another one that fits really great in the hand. M390 steel. Runs on ball bearings, just like the 0562. It's all carbon fiber. Really nice deep pocket clip on it. It's a subframe lock, by the way. That's not a full frame lock. It's a subframe lock where you can see they cut out a piece of the carbon fiber here to make room for the lock there. That's sort of like a partial frame lock there, so it's called a subframe lock. Really nice action, runs on ball bearings, which is just fantastic. Love that knife. The next one And this is not going to be a really long video. The next one is probably the most overhyped production knife in knife history, thanks to Nick Shabazz. This is the Spyderco Swish Bowie, which I think is kind of weird because it's not really a Bowie blade shape. It's a clip point. I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't call it the Spyderco clip point, but Swish clip point. But that's what it is. It's a clip point blade. They called it the Spyderco Swish Bowie because it has sort of like a slight upswing. The real Bowie blade has an upswing that's really up there, and this doesn't even look anything really pronounced as a Bowie blade. This knife, however, the steel on this one is CTS XHP. The name of the knife is called the Spyderco Swish Bowie. It's spelled SLYSZ, but you pronounce it Swish. And Marcin Swish is a Polish knife maker. He went into collaboration on this knife back in 2015 with Spyderco. The knife originally came in stonewash blade, stonewash handles. I had mine anodized in gold, black gold screws. So I kind of thought that would be kind of a cool look. I just got kind of tired of the stonewash look. It used to look like this knife here. Sort of a flat finish, stonewash colored. And I decided to go ahead and get it anodized. We have a silver backspacer there. Carbon fiber backspacer was anodized in silver. I just thought it'd be giving it a new look, really nice new look. Everything that Nick Shabazz said about this knife is absolutely true. It is very, very smooth. It has really great action on it. The steel, again, is CTS XHP. The details that went into this knife, which I'll probably do in my next video. I'll do my next video. I've actually already done in a video like 4 years ago. If you guys want to check that video out, you can. But yeah, the Spyderco Swish Bowie's now gone off into legend. They discontinued it back in 2017. They don't make it anymore. But yeah, it's definitely a great production folder. It's just too bad you won't be able to get a hold of it anymore. So, and again, that's why this is a sort of a special collection. It's made up of knives that they no longer make. I mean, so far out of these 4 that I presented to you, this is the only one you can buy, and you can't even really get it in this configuration. Which brings me now down to my last large my last large production knife, which also is now discontinued. This is the Benchmade Anthem. This one is really just a wonder of a piece. I had to have this one. This one is CV20 steel, all titanium integral, meaning it's all one piece. And on this knife, I kind of customized it by putting a Damascus pocket clip on here. The Damascus pocket clip was done by Now Knife Maker. He used to only do pocket clips, but now he makes knives. And Adam Purvis, he still makes pocket clips, but now he's kind of, his main deal is he likes to work on his own custom knives. What made this knife such a want was the improving on what we all call the access lock, which is what's on this knife here. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get it. Everybody's familiar with the access lock. It's really very famous. Basically, the way the access lock works is, and I'm going to get to this knife in a minute, but I just wanted to explain how the access lock works. So the access lock works with a little spring inside the pivot here. It's called an Omega spring, and that's what causes the knife to open and close. It gives you that dual open and close, so you can open it, with the thumb stud, but the more most people like to do it the more fun way, which is with the access lock. It's a very very fidgety knife. So I believe right around 2014, Benchmade came out with the integral um, Anthem, and it blew everybody away because it was such a huge, huge improvement on the access lock. So let me show you how this works. Basically, what they did was they took the Omega spring and the access lock, and they kind of separated the I guess the invention of it, or the way that it's built. So here's what they did. Instead of having a spring and the access lock in one mechanism, they decided to make it and separate it out into two mechanisms. So we still have the access lock here, but the Omega spring part, which is actually this little coil spring that's inside the pivot, has been replaced by a coil spring that is inside the knife that adheres to the back. And here's the sad thing about the Benchmade Anthem. Not only is it discontinued, but they never released another knife in this configuration again, and that is so sad. I think what happened, I think a lot of the consumers and people who love Benchmade knives, at the time that the Benchmade Anthem came out, I think they were really hoping, I know I was hoping, that they would take the coil spring access lock feature and put it on other knives. Maybe even have it replace the Omega spring as the access lock and replace it with this system, which is so much more smoother. It is way smoother. But here's the problem. When you're a production company, you're looking to be able to create knives that can be produced on a really fairly high scale within a good budget. And unfortunately, the Anthem was not one of those knives. This is a very, very expensive knife to make. And keep in mind, this knife is made by machine. Now, if you guys can imagine, they probably produced thousands of knives. CNC machining, which is just one machine that made only just this knife. I mean, how economical that is, I can't imagine how much that actually costs Benchmade. And I'm assuming that the amount of consumers like myself who purchased one of these knives was not enough to keep it in the lineup. So they had to say goodbye to it in 2017. A lot of people were really sad about that. Which is one thing that both these knives have in common. Because of the attention to detail on the Spyderco Swiss Bowie, they no longer made it. Because if you look at this knife very closely, it's contoured, right? It's kind of got a round shape to it. If you hold it up to the camera, you guys can see that. Imagine, now that's actually a machine. They actually built only one machine to do that for who knows how many knives of these that they produced with that one machine. And the amount of time and effort and probably the amount of consumers that it would have cost to keep this knife in its lineup would have had to have been astronomical, and unfortunately there wasn't enough of us who love this knife to purchase it that it would stay in the lineup. There was a lot of detail that went into this knife, and it just made it just too expensive for Spyderco to continue to make. And it's unfortunate because knives like this are knives that people go gaga over in the production world. You're just not going to have knives like this stick around for a really long time. So, basically what happens is people like myself eat these knives up, and then when they're gone, they're gone. There's even people out there that bought both of these knives twice. One of them they probably got as a user, and the other one they kind of kept as a safe queen myself. These are all users now. I'm more into customs, and kind of like those became my safe queens. So that's it for the large knives on this side of the table. But as you can see, there's a pattern here where I took all of my favorite knives and I did something to them. I mean, in this case, because all these models were available for a time, but I had to do something to each one of them, or like this one. Putting the Damascus pocket clip on there was an absolute must. I didn't have a choice because the pocket clip that comes with this knife sucks. It looked really great, but it just sucked. And I thought, you know what, I got to have something else on here. So I had Adam Purvis make me a really nice Damascus pocket clip, and I haven't looked back since. It just makes it look so much better. To this side of the table here with my production knives. Like I said, these 8 are probably going to grow out to about I don't doubt that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Have one. I'd love to have a whole set of medium-sized knives from each one of these companies and then call it a day. But for now, it's just these 8. So moving on to back up to ZT here. This is one of my favorite. Small. I like to buy knives in different sizes. I'm a collector. I like big and small and medium-sized knives. I don't have a preference. It's mostly users that have a preference. I'm not much of a user of knives, but I am a connoisseur of knives on occasion. But even then, I like to have my knives be different sizes. It's just the way I am. So on the small size lineup, this one here is the Zero Tolerance 0900. Now, this knife came out at this is a Les George design collaboration with Zero Tolerance. This was at a time when ZT was at its height, which was at its height. Actually, they put out I think it was 8 knives their first year in existence, and everybody was excited because we were hoping every year they were going to come out with a bunch of high-end knives, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen. I hate to say this, but I have my own theory with Kai knives or Kershaw, ZT. I have a funny feeling that ZT may be going away. I don't believe this part of Kai knives is going to stick around. The reason I say that is because they haven't put anything new out really in 3 years. I just don't know what's going on with this company. I've had a conversation with one of my favorite knife guys, the Kershaw guy. You can check out his website, Kershaw Guy. He's a huge connoisseur of Kershaw knives, and he's kind of disappointed in what Kershaw Kai knives has been doing with Zero Tolerance lately. Like I said, Zero Tolerance has not put out a lot of knives lately. And here's the thing. They seem to be concentrating more on their low-end market. But oddly enough, instead, they put out a new knife, Kai Knives. I hate saying Kai Knives, but Kai Knives ZT. They put out a new knife, Live Wire, which is an out-the-front knife. By the way, I am going to get one of those. It's an out-the-front knife made by not Zero Tolerance, which you would have thought that's where they would have done. I can imagine. I'm surprised they didn't come out. Zero Tolerance didn't come out with an out-the-front in all titanium with CB20 steel. They didn't do that. Instead, what they did was they put out a knife called the Live Wire and put it with the Kershaw lineup, which kind of pissed me off. The out the front Live Wire knife is all aluminum scale instead of titanium. It kind of makes you wonder why put an out the front knife, have that go to Zero Tolerance instead of to Kershaw. Not that there's anything wrong with Kershaw, but like I said, I believe that Kai Knives is kind of confused about who their market is. To me, Zero Tolerance within Kai Knives is more of an afterthought these days. Like I said, they don't have anything new to present to us lately. It's been 3 years since they put out their last new knife, Zero Tolerance. I haven't seen anything new at SHOT Show 2023 coming from Zero Tolerance, which is a real disappointment to me. But in any case, back to my knife. So this was one of the ones that Zero Tolerance came out with. It's a frame lock. It's a George Less design, S35VN steel. I just love this little guy, because it feels so huge in your hand. Really, it's a small knife, but it's got a big feel to it. Uh, I thought that was a great concept. I don't know why they didn't continue to make big little knives like this. I think ZT would have really shot up if they'd done that. This is probably the only one. Uh, it's just a really great, fantastic titanium piece. They put it out in blue and they also put it out in gold. I'm kind of sorry I didn't get it in one of those, but I'm lucky I even have it in this version. Uh, it's just a great little folder, a great little user. I mean, you could really use this for heavy duty, and it's so small. It's almost like if you wanted to, you could like put your 0562 away for a day and just carry this, and it would serve just as much of a purpose as this knife here, because it's really beefy, sort of, but yet small. So you do get the impression that you could do this with heavy duty work on this one here. My next one, a Kershaw. I decided to go with an automatic on this one, even though it's not legal. It's legal in California, but not in Washington State. But yeah, every once in a while I'll carry this thing. I don't think a cop is gonna come from behind me and uh, you know arrest me for carrying something like this, but I carry it anyway. I thought this was one of the better small automatics that Kershaw put out. You can still buy. Steel on this is CPM 154 steel. It's got aluminum handles. I like the nice gold pivot ring on it. It's really great. And if you like autos, this is probably one of the ones I would gravitate towards. Um, yeah, this one is the Launch 11. Yeah, Kershaw Launch 11. They did a whole launch series of knives, and they're still going. Kershaw's still going with the launch series, by the way. They haven't stopped. I think that's kind of fantastic. But see, that's one of my gripes is why couldn't they do Zero Tolerance the way they're building up Kershaw? They just didn't do it. Instead, this is fading away in the background, Zero Tolerance, and like I said, I really believe Zero Tolerance is going to be completely discontinued, and they're going to go back and focus to their low end budget knives. That's what I think. I hope I get some comments on this video about my thoughts on Zero Tolerance, because they're really not doing anything. I don't know what's going on with this part kind knives, but they need to get back into it, because if Zero Tolerance isn't going away, the consumers want to see new knives. But here's the thing. Zero Tolerance was sort of an afterthought when it came out on the market in 2012. And they were mostly geared towards people like myself who love knives. But if you're someone who just wants a good working knife, do you really need to go up into the $200-$300 range of knives? I don't think so. You're probably just going to want to back down to, anywhere between $50 to like $125 for a good knife. And I really believe that Kai Knives believes that they could get by with their low budget line of, and occasionally putting out a limited edition knife like this one, every once in a while, to feed the hungry masses of people like myself who knives. I think that might work out for them, but I think they're making a mistake. I still believe there's a future for zero tolerance if Kai Knives will really just work on them, get back into the game, get back into working with other designers, and just do something to build up zero tolerance because people love zero tolerance. But if you're not going to do anything with this company, you know, it's just going to go away, and you're going to lose people by not building up a good following on what you've had in the last decade with this company, and then not to do anything at all. So it's just an afterthought. The next knife in my collection is a knife you could still get. This is the second version of this knife. This is called the Spyderco Techno. I actually bought this one over last week. As sort of a compliment to the Spyderco Swiss Bowie, and it was a nice choice because it's from the same maker, Marcin Swish, who made the Spyderco Swiss Bowie. He also made the Spyderco Techno. There was a sort of a debate between this knife and another knife called the Spyderco Chubby. One of the great things Spyderco does is they're really good at making small folders like this and making them appeal to the masses. I really like that. This is the lowest price one that they put out, the Spyderco Techno. You can buy one of these. The first version of it you could buy for like $175 back in the day, which was about I'm gonna say it's about 8 or 9 years ago. And then they decided to go ahead and upgrade the knife. The first version was with S30V steel. For the second version, the one that I have in my hand, they upgraded it to CTS XHP steel, which is a little bit better steel. Pain in the ass to sharpen, but really much better steel overall than S30V. For the backspacer, they used to have some blue G10 as the backspacer. Now they added these green backspacers, which look kind of nice. I kind of like that. Sticking with the wire clip, the most famous wire clip. It doesn't look good, but it's an incredibly functional deep wire clip. People really like that. And unlike on the Spyderco Swiss Bowie, which is actually, this one is actually the first version of the knife they put out with the silver clip. The second version they put out with a stonewash clip like this one. So that was kind of nice. They also did quite a few things to the Spyderco Techno. They made it a little bit thinner stock. It used to be even a little bit more thicker stock than this right here. And they thinned it out. I think that was one of the things people complained about, was that they liked that it was a great knife, but the stock was a little too thick. Which, by the way, Zero Tolerance gets away with because they're known for, big, beefy knives. So that's part of their identity, although these days I don't think anybody can tell. It's just the way it is. So for my final knife, I got to complement the Anthem, I got the Benchmade Mini Bug Out, which I really thought was a great knife. You can get this one all over. This knife you can still buy. There's nothing. I really love the aesthetics on it, the black and the blue screws. I'm kind of surprised they actually didn't make this blue, because that would have really looked great. In other words, have the entire knife be blue with the exception of the black screws. They could leave that. I thought that was nice. But yeah, I do like the blue backspacer on that. You've got a nice little lanyard ring there. Put a lanyard on it. They're also very good with their little pocket clip on it. It's a very, very light knife. Steel on this one is S90V steel. It's really incredibly sharp. It's got a killer edge on it. I already nicked myself right there on it with the access lock. This thing is a real super sharp knife. I didn't realize how sharp it was. So that is it for my small production knives. These are the best of the best that I think these companies actually put out. yeah, like I said, probably in the future, I'm almost certain in the future, well, I'll have a third lineup of 4 knives representing right around a 3.1 size. I just have to. It wouldn't make any sense if I didn't. Uh, you know. And again, I think these 4 knives represent the best of the best. They're from my favorite knife production companies: Benchmade, Spartaco, Kershaw, and Zero Tolerance. I don't think there's any, you know, I don't think I'm missing anything by not going with any of the other knife companies. You don't. I know you guys are looking out there. Why? How come he doesn't have any CRKT? CRKT never really found quite that appealing. Although I know they do put out some really good stuff. But for me personally, as a knife buyer, they just didn't have that much of an impact. On me. There were, maybe a couple of knives out there that I thought were really kind of cool, like the CEO flip, the CRKT CEO flipper, maybe the home front. That one cool knife that CRKT put out where you can take apart the entire knife without any. I thought that was kind of a cool knife to own. But I mean, other than that, there wasn't really much for me as a knife person that CRKT put out. So I kind of just stuck with these 4 companies, and I've been very happy ever since. So there you have it, my small production lineup. If you go further back on my channel, though, you guys will see I used to be a really huge Kershaw guy. In fact, I had the largest, and you can check out all those videos on my channel. I had the largest Kershaw discontinued collection ever, and I sold that collection off, believe it or not, Kershaw guy, and he just made me a deal, an offer for all the knives in one shot. I just couldn't say no to that. So this is it for my production collection. I will see you guys in my next video, which is going to be coming up in a few minutes. I'll be bringing out this knife again, getting a little bit more into detail, and so that's it for this video. You guys have a great. I will see you guys in a few minutes. Yeah. So this is it for my production knives, and probably the last video you will see me do. That's, well, not counting the next video, that's not anything on South African knives. Every once in a while I will do videos on knives that are not South African, but for the most part, most of the knives that I have on my channel will be about South African knives. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Have a good day.